There are fears among Boris Johnson's team that a Joe Biden victory would be a boost to the EU, instead of the UK, as far as trade deals go, according to the BBC's Joe Coburn. Boris Johnson and senior figures in No 10 fear that a Joe Biden presidential victory in November would strengthen the EU's hand in last-minute Brexit talks. The BBC's Joe Coburn told BBC Dateline that there was caution over a potential Joe Biden victory over Donald Trump. There are concerns that Joe Biden would follow his predecessor Barack Obama's lead on foreign policy, and place Germany ahead of the UK. Barack Obama notoriously told the UK during the Brexit referendum campaign that the UK would be at the back of the queue for a trade deal if they voted to leave the EU. Joe Coburn explained, "The British establishment would breathe a collective sigh of relief. Privately, of course, if Biden won, just because the unpredictability. That would be the first priority for them. They think a Joe Biden presidency would be some kind of return to a normality when it comes to diplomatic relationships." Boris Johnson and many in the Conservative Party have always made quite a lot about the connection between Johnson and Trump at a personal level. Coburn continued, "Boris said a few months ago that Donald Trump has many, many good qualities. But when it comes to the dealings between the two countries, the US-UK trade deal has gone completely quiet. The British government would be thinking of foreign policy going forward with a return to multilateral institutions, which they hope would return under Joe Biden. But there is a cautionary note because we just don't know what would happen if Joe Biden wins. It may be that he is more like his predecessor Obama when it comes to dealing with Europe." Would the UK still be a bridge between the two sides, or would he follow Obama, where Angela Merkel was the one to call when they wanted to speak to Europe, instead of the UK? So, even with a Joe Biden, there is no certainty that the US-UK special relationship would return. A leading U.S. trade expert recently suggested Joe Biden would scupper a deal between Downing Street and the White House in favor of reigniting a new deal between the EU and U.S. Negotiations between the US and EU were halted under President Trump, but Joe Biden is said to favor a return to these talks over the offer of a trade deal between the UK and US. Earlier this month it was reported Boris Johnson's cabinet were desperate for Joe Biden to win the US election to enable more meaningful Brexit deal talks. Last month, Boris Johnson reportedly abandoned hopes of a quick trade deal with President Trump before the presidential election.